Dun, 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 dun. Hello, friends.
Hi.
Hi. Happy Sunday. That means it's book review day. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Welcome. And if you're new here, hi. That's Natalie.
Hi.
Everything is linked below. This is a monthly book review for our book club, the Annotation Station, where we read to stay informed and read diversely. And we read, bam, ring shout. Oh, yeah. I'm so excited.
We're a little late to the party with this book because
Mhm.
it's been out for a while. It got
Mhm.
its hype a while ago, but
Yes.
we made it.
I'm so sorry I slept on this, y'all. So sorry. I'll never make that mistake again. I will, but I'm just saying.
But it will be
Apologies.
unwillingly.
Yes. Okay, so if you'd like to join us for any future reads and you'd like to join the Discord, become a channel member at any level, make sure you're following Natalie, link below, and also, become a subscriber if you're not already so you get notifications as to when we post our book reviews. Damien, hi!
Damien.
Yay! Also, before we get started talking about this month's book, just a preview of what we're reading next month in case you don't stay the whole time and you'd like to join us. For August, we are reading The Emperor of Gladness
Yes.
by Ocean Vuong. You started this one already, right?
Yes, I'm like 13% into it, something like that. Taking my time with it, taking my time.
Mm-hmm. So check out our review coming up for that. So we also don't really focus on like being non-spoilery. We go ham. So just say
but
that.
we do need the description of the book, which I will not be giving.
That's okay. I can do it. Okay, so this is following three women. Our main cast is three women. They are more or less demon hunters. And they are, it's set in like, is it 1920s?
I think it's a little before that.
Is it 1915? Something around in early
there.
1900s. Yeah. Just after the Titanic, somewhere in that time period. And they are hunting something called Ku Kluxes. And Ku Kluxes are these kind of very strange, ugly looking, aggressive demon monsters who are more or less a monstrous amalgamation of white supremacy and are hate personified. And so it really focuses a lot on like Black culture and diaspora traditions. Ring Shout as the title, which we'll explain more when we start getting into the nitty gritty of it, has a lot to do with like spiritual practices, and it's very action packed. So
yes,
yeah,
I would agree.
Okay, where do we want to start? Do you want to start with ratings?
Yeah, we can start with ratings.
Cool.
I gave it 4 stars, mostly because the beginning was rough for me. I was like, it wasn't rough to the point that I was like, oh, I want to DNF this. I never contemplated DNFing, but I was like, this is just fine. It started just very meh for me. But then by the end, I was actually invested in the storyline and wanted to see what happened. But the whole thing felt very cinematic to me. I'm like, I would love a film adaptation of this, and I would probably love a film adaptation of this more than the book itself, personally. But I don't know if Hollywood's ready to talk about Birth of a Nation like that. So I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Listen, if Ryan Coogler picks it up, I think we're ready. To me, this is the center sequel that we need. Damien says, like the book, rated 3.25. In my opinion, this is one of the books that would have benefited from being a bit longer. Okay. All in all, a good but forgettable read for me. And I get that. It's valid.
Yeah.
Cried a bit in the end of the protagonist getting to meet her brother again. Love the distinction book between made hate and anger. Yes, that is so important. So important. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when we start talking about the climax, I want to come back to that point. So thanks for bringing it up, Damien. I gave it 5 stars. I personally, I see this being on like somewhere in my top books of the year list.
Wow.
I feel so when I forgot what the word is. For me, when I read books, it's already like a movie in my head.
Yeah.
So this just amplified that. So I completely agree with your point of like this would make an incredible movie. Again, Ryan Coogler, if you're looking for something right here, baby, let's go. But so the action and the way that it opened with the whole sequence was just like, oh, perfect. The script in my head is very visually oriented. Easy peasy movie in my head experience. So I love it for that.
For me, since I don't typically have reading experiences like that, it is very distinctive to me when I actually am reading something and I'm like, oh, this feels like a movie and I can actually see it in my head as a movie. Most of the time I'm just seeing words on a page and that's that. Like it could be the most description shit ever because I love my authors that are like that, but I still ain't seeing shit. So that's why for me, I was like, okay, give me the movie. I'm ready.
Yeah, that makes sense. Back in class, sorry. My teacher's slipping.
Teachers in the room. Teachers in the room.
Yes. We can't turn it off. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So, okay. I feel like so much for me happens in this tiny novella. It's like what, 180 pages?
Something like that.
Yeah, something a little less than 180, like 175. There is so much symbolism. Oh, okay. I think we got to start by breaking things down. Hi, Roro. Okay, so you brought up Birth of a Nation. Maybe let's start there.
Yes.
Okay, so Birth of a Nation is a movie that is brought up repeatedly throughout this story as a means of exemplifying the toxic energy that white supremacy holds during this time period. It is post-slavery, but it's in that time where we're barely a generation removed, so people still are alive who were slaves or their parents were slaves, and Jim Crow is in effect, so it's like the problems are even today are still there, but like very heavily in the room.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable explaining a little bit of Birth of a Nation, or do you want me to give it a try?
I can't explain it because I've never actually watched it myself, and I've only ever heard the general premise of it, so I don't even feel confident with that. I just know the vibes are rancid and people love to defend it and protect it. It's a film that's very important to a lot of people, which is why I say that I don't know if Hollywood's ready for that. I'm like, they should be, because the whole use of the film in this book is as a vehicle to inspire and reignite hatred in the hearts of white people.
Correct.
Who already have prejudiced views, because it's like, it's not saying that the movie has the power to make you prejudiced. It's just takes what's already there and makes it bigger and bolder.
Yes. And that is exactly how the monsters in the story function. It's not that they implant hatred, it's that hatred is in the foundation of white supremacy, which, just going to do a little plug, y'all. We are reading Black AF History as our nonfiction pick in August, and this relates to this. It explains so many things. Like this is probably going to be my favorite nonfiction of the year, and I'm only a quarter of the way through. I'm just telling you right now. I'm not going to shut up about it. But like, it talks about the seed foundation of America's ideology is rooted in hatred. So it's not that it's something that the monsters in the story implanted. It's that they are feeding off of something that already exists, like Natalie said. Oh, Roro. Roro just
shade.
Yes, me and Tina tore that book apart. Sorry, not sorry.
Wow.
So it's a 180 going from like a really something we dislike to like, okay. So I did not watch Birth of a Nation either, but I have heard it mentioned and referenced in many nonfiction or like lectures that I've been to about white supremacy and all those things. So I feel like when it's like you've seen something in the zeitgeist enough where you're like, I get it. I don't need, that. But essentially, this movie is very much pro Ku Klux. It is very it's I would say it's essentially the film adaptational birth of all the negative stereotypes around Black people. Like anything you could think of, like they eat fried chicken, they want to take white women, they wanted like all these horrible, really harmful rhetorics that have permeated our societies for so long. Like this movie highlighted those things and villainized Black bodies, and basically is like what I feel like is like the film Bible of white supremacy. So, there's a reason why the main characters in this book, every time they see a billboard or a poster or whatever, they walk by and they're just like,
yeah.
So yeah, that. So the KKK is prominent as the villains in the story. Something I want to talk about, which I feel like is so indicative of, similarly to what you said of the film industry isn't ready for criticism, even 100 years later is not ready for criticism of Birth of a Nation, is that we know that fascism is bad. We know that the KKK is racist. We know that what these people do and what they stand for is the legit destruction of certain bodies. And yet we must, what's the opposite of personify? To turn into a monster? Is there a word for that?
I don't think there is.
Is there a word? But like to take these people and turn them into a literal monster for publishing to be like, yes, revenge story that is not going to be too offensive to the white lens, because we have had literature where POC have been villainized as people for forever. But if we want to flip the script and actually criticize white bodies for white supremacy, they cannot be personified. Does that make sense?
I'm trying. I think I was following you, and then you lost me a little.
No, okay.
So I think I get where you're trying to go.
Okay, like I feel like P. Djeli Clark did something really masterful here with that. Does that make sense?
I feel like it's the point you're bringing is actually bringing me to one of the things that one of the characters says. I think it might have been Mama June. Who's like, no, you can't kill the ones who are still human because there's still a chance that they can change. You can only go for the ones who've already been, turned into actual monsters. And our main character is like in conflict with that, because what they feel the urge to do is just go after all of them. And part of me did feel like that whole thing, since it wasn't actually focused on that much, like it was there, so you knew how the main character felt, but it didn't really feel like it permeated the story. It actually felt to me like it was a little bit trying a bit too hard to be soft for white readers so that they could be like, okay, we're only going for the monsters. We're not actually going all in the way, frankly, I would have thought would be completely justified to do, which is all these motherfuckers. So that's my 2 cents.
That's more along the lines of what I was trying to say. Yes. And so I feel like P. Djeli Clark, I see in the text that they are very conscious of publishing not being ready to be able to go all in like that, and was like, let's make it this otherworldly haint monster demon thing so that it's justified that we're not actually going after the people who are in IRL doing the same thing in reverse. But we're not gonna go there. We're not ready for that. So yeah, I agree. But I feel like that was very much intentional, and I feel like it's because we're not publishing ain't ready.
Yeah. No, I understand that. But it is the experience I had with that aspect of it that I was like, I understand going the route of making them like haints and stuff like that, but it's still frustrating to an extent as a reader, because I'm like, but they were horrible. And I feel like this book doesn't even go too deep into the shit they were doing. I'm like, it's casually referenced for the most part, but the book is mostly actually like, you already know. It goes from that jump point. Like, we don't have to beat a dead horse because you already know what they were doing. You already know why they're the enemy here.
Yes.
Even if we're making it easier to go after them by making them into something supernatural. But
I feel like the movie Sinners went where this book didn't go in that aspect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The movie Sinners, yes, did actually say, no, fuck them people. No.
Yeah.
There's no need for those, because even the vampires were part metaphor, but we also had straight up just humans that the movie was like, nah, fuck them.
Yes.
We don't care.
Correct. Because they would have said, fuck y'all. They exactly. Did. They were.
They did.
Yeah. So yeah, that definitely that. Okay, let's talk about haints, and let's talk about ring shout. Because that's the title of the book and is very much important to it. So a haint is a term for like a spirit of some kind, like a ghost or like a otherworldly spirit. Usually is in like an evil sense, right? Like a haunting ghost or something like a negative energy ghost. A ring shout. So if you've seen the movie Sinners, which this book is compared to a lot, is this kind of dance that is supposed to be, it's a cultural dance that is about the gathering and about the energy and about this amalgamation of spirit and voices, more so than the ceremony of the dance itself. I don't know if that's making any sense.
Yeah.
It's like the unity of the spirits of the bodies at work, right? Yeah. And so I'm trying to tie this together. Feel free to help me out. Ultimately, our main character has to deal with some internal struggle that they have, because it's preventing them from the hate that they have in their heart is something that the enemy is trying to feed off of to make them become their champion. But that hate that they have in their heart, they have to have some kind of internal resolution in order to be the champion for the ring shout. Does that make sense?
Okay, so to me, that ties into the point that Damien brought up. That part of the crux of the novel is that there's a difference between hate and anger can lead to hate, and there can be some hate, but there's a difference between the root of these emotions. And like, ultimately, our main character, what she actually feels is anger and frustration and the pain of her people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she seeks vengeance. She seeks vengeance not necessarily because she hates the other people, but there's this frustration at what has been done to her people that then leads to actions that can be seen as hateful, but the root cause is not that.
Mm-hmm.
Versus the white people, their root cause is a lot more actual hatred. Like the actions, the violence they're committing is born from hatred and this dislike of what is different.
Mm-hmm.
And inherently being like, no, we need to remove what is different. While for our main characters, like, I'm just trying to legitimately protect my people who are actively being harmed. And so I took those conversations about like whether she could be the champion for the Ku Kluxes and the champion actually of just her people slash the Haints that she was actually in communication with, as like it was never going to happen. Like she was never actually going to successfully be the champion of the Ku Kluxes because the Ku Kluxes were inherently misunderstanding what her emotions actually were.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were thinking that they were fostering the same feelings that they're feeding off of from white people, but they're not because their roots are different. They're separate entities.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that was the point, and that's what I loved about it, actually. I think that was the whole point, is that because when we have the white supremacist view only views what everyone else it perceives what everyone else is feeling and thinking from their own experience, from their own lens. And so they're not able to process that there is a difference between those two things. So it's a downfall from the beginning, even though we do have the Haints that are on her side, the aunties, I think they are, the three aunties, right? That are, saying like there is a possibility, there's always a possibility that you might choose to do something else than what we want you to do to be our people's champion. But that's exactly it, is that the white body thinks that it understands the plight of everyone that it suppresses, but it doesn't. That's the point. And so when I saw that the internal struggle, what was her name? Maryse, I think was her name. Maryse? I think so.
Maryse.
Their internal struggle, like you said, was more of anger. I would say there could be an interpretation of, so let's break down what happened to them. So their family was schmurdered by some like racist assholes. And they harbored guilt around not being able to defend them, but also they were young. They were like a kid, right?
They were like an older, like I think she was 17, 18, and that was part of the guilt, because part of the whole thing is that she reimagined that to protect herself and her well-being as her being a lot younger, in order to justify to herself why she didn't act. But it's like, it doesn't matter. And that's what ends up being brought up. It's like, it doesn't fucking matter what you did or didn't do to try to manage the situation, because ultimately you were not the one trying to harm your own family.
Mm-hmm.
That is on the other people. What happened is on the aggressor. It's not on you for not being able to defend or protect, because that's just what happens. Like, if you're in a dangerous situation, you are not actually in control of how your body responds.
Mm-hmm.
It's the aggressor who has responsibility for what happens.
Exactly. And so, like you said, the Ku Kluxes, the demons, are perceiving that event as the seed of hatred in order for her to build upon that to become their champion, but they don't understand that that's not what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, that. I don't even. I feel like I'm all over the place with this. I don't know where to go. Help me out. Like, where do we go?
See, I'm trying to put my two neuronas together. What else can be said?
Maybe the aunties. Let's talk about the aunties.
Okay, yeah. Because to me, the aunties were interesting specifically because of how Mama June felt about them.
Mm-hmm.
She had like an inherent mistrust of them, even though she's arguably of all the characters the most spiritually connected to everything. She was like, I don't trust those.
Mm-hmm.
While Maryse kept actually going to them for counsel and support. And they're held in contrast to the Ku Kluxes. Like on one side we have the Ku Kluxes, on the other side we have the aunties. And for me, for a while, there was a sense of tension. Because I'm more prone to, I'm like, if our person who actually understands this world better is skeptical about it, then I'm going to be skeptical about it. I'm like, do the aunties actually want to help? I mean, it ultimately just becomes like there's only so much they can do. But they were not actually trying to steer Maryse wrong. It was more of like, well, this is the information we can give you. But it's up to you to decide what to do with it. So that's kind of my 2 cents there.
Yeah. I really loved that we had this. To me, there was like these 3 separate entities that were vying for a different kind of ending. We had the aunties, we had the Ku Kluxes, and then we also had the night doctors.
Yes.
And I loved that we had like these different folklores kind of all being put together and for different reasons. Like the night doctors, first of all, that whole scene of what they did to Maryse.
To me, the night doctors were actually the most terrifying.
Yeah, that was horrifying.
Of all the options, I'm like,
yes.
I feel terror in my heart. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these creatures? I think for me, they were scarier because they felt more volatile. Because the aunties and the Ku Kluxes had a clear vision and thing they were trying to accomplish, versus the night doctors who just do whatever the fuck they want. And that could be to tear up your shit, or it could be to help you. And you just have to, and they might do both things.
It's whatever's in their best interests.
It's whatever goes for them. And I found them so scary.
Me too. That was the scariest part of all of this. When they put her through that little, like, I'm not even gonna call it a vision. I think they actually did that thing that they did to her where they like literally my worst nightmare, like downed and quartered.
I was like, what is going? I was like, what in the Hannibal is going on here?
I love that so much. So that was great horror for me. Loved it. It was the one a little body horror, and I was like, I'm living right now. This is great. But so I found their dichotomy so interesting because ultimately it can be argued that all 3 players are working for their own best interest. It's just a little bit of who's more straightforward and who's more subtle about it.
Yeah.
So I love that they came in clutch. Yeah, so like I understand on Nana June's like you said, she's more attuned to these things, and so it makes total sense that she's like, I don't trust them. And also we get sneak peeks behind the veil from Maryse when she sees like there's a little foxy tooth peeking through
Yeah.
or a glint in their eye. So it's like, you know, I absolutely no. Sorry, Damien. Stop making me pay while I'm reading. Not again. Oh.
Damien, I understand. We're both just like this. Okay? Because again, to me that was scary, but I was like, that was fire. That was incredible. I'm like, they're terrifying, but I was also low key like, I'm glad they're not the central antagonist here because I would be having heart palpitations. Okay, I'm like, I'm glad that they were just a little sprinkle in there, just a little something to keep things interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm a body horror girly, so I'm like, ooh, give me 300 pages of this. Like, I want all of it. So happy. But it was a nice little treat.
What were you saying before that? I did want to say something.
Yes, no, we were talking about the aunties having like
oh yeah, there were hints of them being maybe a little bit trickster spirit type. Because there were those like things of like fox imagery and all this stuff, but again, ultimately they ended up being more on the side of good, one could argue. But I don't know. I think it's not really tied to them, but I found the whole idea as well of, because we haven't talked about the book that Maryse reads all the time, which was given to her by her brother. And to me, that one was important for when we get to the story about the truth and the lie taking on the face of the truth. And you have to keep that in mind for the rest of the story, basically from the moment it comes up, because things can entirely not be what they seem. And you have to actually trust yourself and your intent and look closely at what other people are doing versus what they're saying, to determine if they are truth or they're just the lie dressed as the truth.
Look at what people are doing more than when people, I was just saying that I say all the time, when people tell you who they are, listen, right? And sometimes, most of the time, actually, I feel like it's more about what they're doing says more about who they are than the words that are coming out of their mouth. So listen to that.
Yes, exactly.
110%. Also, Butcher Clyde. Listen, I'm a sucker. You know I'm a sucker for my monsters, okay? I love monsters so much. I love it. So when Maryse and Chef and what was her name? Sadie, I think.
I think it might have been Sadie.
Go to confront Butcher Clyde at the butcher shop. And we get the scene where we find out that they are feeding the body
that was disgusting
of the spirit, the evil monster that they're trying to bring out to the white customers, because it's feeding off of the racist hate that already exists inside their heart. And it was all these little mouths screaming. I was living.
I was like, this is so disgusting.
Loved it.
I was like, ew. Because that's like one of the things that I find so is this idea of like, actually, it's an illusion basically, because for the customers there, they thought the food was normal and they had no idea that what they were eating is disgusting. And I'm like, because for me, like with Hannibal, a lot of the time it's that as well, but it's a visual medium. So they show it to you technically both in the preparation where you can see what it actually is, and then the illusion where it just looks like some tasty food.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, see, and that's the kind of thing that's disturbing to me. I'm like, don't tell me you're feeding me shit that I don't know what the hell it actually is. That I can't see what it is. I'm like,
I mean, we're vegetarian, so we would have made it.
I mean, oh, there's that at least. I'm like, well, I would never be walking into the butcher shop anyway. I don't have any business there. But nasty.
Yes.
Nasty.
Oh, but I love that whole scene.
I did laugh though at the nice little touch where she spares someone at the butcher shop from eating the stuff, basically because she's doing a whole show.
Mm-hmm.
And so they leave without eating, and then she reappears with her child at the end of the story, like, I can see all this shit now. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you're welcome.
Yes. Congrats, white woman.
Right now, because you couldn't see what the fuck you were dealing with. It was funny to me.
I loved it. That was great. Also, like the bravery of Maryse to walk into the filming of Birth of a Nation with all those white hoods light up. I'm like, girl, you are stronger than I am. I could have never.
She was like, I have rage in a dream and I'm gonna make it happen.
Yep.
I'm gonna make it happen. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
He's like, there could be there could be 50 people behind me, there could be one person behind me. I'm gonna go.
Yes. And Chef is a real one. Ride or die right there. I was like,
that she is.
Wow. Loved it. And all Sadie, Sadie, I think could have hit me more. It did make me sad, and I felt sad at Sadie's passing. But I feel like I also didn't get enough time with her.
For me, she was too much of a loquita for me. I was like, okay. I'm like, you do you, girl. But you a little weird.
I loved her though.
I was like, I love the going out in a blaze of glory.
Yes.
That was great. But yeah, I didn't quite feel attached to her because I was a little bit like, my vibes and your vibes don't go together. That's okay. Yeah. But I was like, all right, sure.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised when she went out blazing. Yeah. If anything, I felt more for Maryse.
Yeah. That part was actually really sad. Maryse goes back in to try and get her with the hope that she can actually save her, only to find the devastation there. And that was what was heartbreaking. Seeing Maryse like, no, I can do this, I can save you, I can whatever. And it's Sadie having to be like, no, this is it. This is the end for me. It's okay. Just go actually, and you stay alive. Because you still can.
So I felt that. But I also did like that her spirit and their brother's spirit, all the spirits that came in the end to their aid, I think was a really beautiful kind of illustration of, so because we get all these negative spirits and like, well, these scary spirits and hates and all that, but also the ring shout being a positive like coalition of spiritual power, and then having the spirits come back and make themselves known and present, and like, don't worry, we're here waiting for you. I wanted to cry. I was like, this
is because the ring shout, it was more of like, we are collecting and calling on our ancestors versus the haints are just these other supernatural beings.
Mm-hmm.
And so that part was beautiful, because it was like, no, we're calling on our people to support us in defeating this evil entities
Mm-hmm.
that are trying to expand the horrors that we're already going through,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to sell it to us as like, no, we're gonna make you stronger, we're gonna make you the top dog. And it's like, you are a liar. No,
Yeah,
we just want to eat us too.
correct. Oh, I will also add that I did like there was a little touch of when we're first starting to get to know characters in the beginning. I think there were some indigenous characters that were mentioned very briefly, but like they're in the community that Maryse and them live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because again, this is like Jim Crow era, so like all the colored people are kind of being pushed into these areas where redlining is starting to become common practice. So it's like we're getting that there are multiple cultures here that are working together, but we're just focusing on Maryse's community.
Yeah.
What else?
Some of the characters that I don't remember, I'm pretty sure it was a woman, her name, that she's a doctor, and she also has other I think again it was also women who are interested in medicine.
Yeah.
And it was this combination of like, she doesn't have the sight, so she can't even see the creatures for what they are, but she's still going through a lens of science to study them. And it's like, no, bring me the bodies. We're doing an examination here. And it was actually a merging of both science and spirituality, how they were able to more successfully target the Ku Kluxes, because they did learn information through the experiments that this doctor was doing. And I was like, I appreciate this.
Yeah.
I'm into this. But it was just a small element.
I think that was the same chapter. I think that was the same group that I was talking about, like that mixed group. Yeah, which is pretty cool. Also, as far as like symbolism goes, they mention a couple times that I think Mama Nana Jean, is that her name? That she wears haint blue. So for anyone who is not familiar with like Southern American history, that was a color that was painted on like houses, and also in different cultures is on clothes and other accessories as kind of like a warding off, like an evil eye kind of thing. That blue is a common color in many cultures as far as like a warding color, because it represents water, I think. And it's like water has to do with like the purity, and so it's like a pure protection. I think that was mentioned quite a few times that she was wearing that color, so I figured something it's worth mentioning. What else? Anything else?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was just a great monster story. I had a great time. I want a movie. That's what
I mean, real.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else that I want to add. How about you?
I don't think so.
No?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. Cool beans. So I think we're going to wrap it up here, but we do have sprints happening in about 15 minutes. So don't go far. Check out my channel to get that. And then also, if you want to read another fiction with us, join us for the Emperor of Gladness in August. Yay! Cool beans. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.